Alright guys, this is Megan speaking at SmartWorks. Watching this speech, or the beginning of it, I have no idea what it's about. Let's see if you can make sense of it.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for being here today. It's very exciting and it looks beautiful, and I'm sorry if you were waiting for a bit in this sunshine though. It's pretty nice to have such good weather. So, I thought that it would probably be helpful for you to understand how we ended up here today and why this collection was so important to conceive based on the visits and what I was seeing.
So, first of all, the way she's saying that, I would not say if I was doing a speech. I thought it would be helpful if I helped you to understand. To me, that's like a little patronizing. Like, it would be better to say something like, I want to tell you our story. Which, if you're saying I'm going to tell you our story, it's like putting the onus on yourself. Like, you might not know who we are and what we do, so I want to tell you about it. Versus this, where she's putting it in the sense like you don't understand what we do. It's a little bit disrespectful. It's very subtle, but it's there.
When I was on site at SmartWorks. And let's maybe go back a little bit. Should I hold for sound? They're grateful back there. When I first moved to the UK, it was incredibly important to me personally to be able to connect with people on the ground doing really important work. And
again, you'll see it's all about her. It was so important to her to do important work. I have no idea what that work is, and you probably won't either by the middle of this speech.
Places that I went to very early on was SmartWorks. Now, funny enough, and purely by coincidence, it was just a year ago at this same time that I was working on a project in Grenfell with this woman at a community center called Almanar, and that's when we put together the Together cookbook. So though this is a year...
All right, you're going to see a pattern. She went to this community center, and that's when we put together this, what was it, community cookbook. You're going to see this pattern, which is she went somewhere. There's no word on what they were doing before. They were just community center, and then she now with them put something together. You see this in her marriage with Harry as well. Anything that happened before she was there, like didn't really happen or wasn't good, and she went and she fixed it up. You're going to see this again and again.
And obviously this is fashion, not food. At its core, these are very similar projects because they're about women who are empowering each other, me being able to have the opportunity to meet them, get to know them, learn from them, and then say, what can I do in some small way? How can I try to help you amplify this? How can we make this even better?
There's no information conveyed. All right. What information was conveyed? What did we learn from the last 3 sentences, 4 sentences she has said? Nothing. There's no actual information. It's just talking. There's no information.
Greater and more impactful for the women that you're trying to help. So on my visits to SmartWorks, one of the times that I went, I realized there was a little bit of a challenge in terms of styling for the women because we had a lot of donations, but not necessarily the things that women needed to have. So
you see that again? And you're going to see it even more. She went there was a problem. There is no word on any good work they did before she got there. It's always she went somewhere and she fixed it. In actually my most viewed short, that's the same thing. She's talking about how these big organizations the royal family was running were not effective, but the little ones that she did were effective, and she was going to make them more effective. It's always, I'm the one who fixes things. Again, the video where she's going to Rwanda, it's like they're installing a well. She's like, oh, let me stand here. I did it. So it's always that pattern.
Okay, well, let's try to work with what we have and make the best of it. And then the next time I went, you'll remember this, there was a rack of about 40 or 50 lilac-colored blazers. Now, don't get me wrong. It's a great blazer. And I'm sure for someone, it's exactly what she wants to be wearing. But for most women, when you're going in there and you want to have a job...
Okay, her criticism of the charity is they didn't have enough variety of fashion. Now, the charity is apparently for women who can't afford clothes that are nice for an interview. To me, having a really nice blazer to go for an interview, that would be a pretty good step, right? You solve one problem at a time. It shows, her BS, we couldn't afford the Sizzler buffet. She comes from a background where I think she's not aware of what it's like to struggle and to want, regardless of what she says. She goes to a freaking charity that's giving people clothes they don't have. It's ugh, these lilac blazers, it's not the fashion that we want, right?
Interview and you want to feel your very best and you want to feel confident. You want to be wearing the pieces of clothing that make you feel that way and not the leftovers that didn't sell from the end of the.
Are you kidding me? Yeah, you don't want those leftover clothes. Like, ugh, I wouldn't be caught in anything like that. I mean, I throw out every outfit after I wear it. So basically she's saying she went to this charity, it was terrible, and she fixed it because the fashion was no good, and she's going to show them at this charity that they need to have the best styles. So instead of having like 40 or 50 blazers, they should probably sell them and buy like one nice piece that Meghan likes.
Season. And I kept thinking about it as I went home, and it didn't track for me, and I said, we have to do something to change this. And a big piece of this is trying to transform the idea of charity to community. And the way that we do that, I think, as people.
Another thing I'll say with this is I think it's incredible arrogance. Like, I think maybe she does think she's fixing things, but what are the chances that this woman whose jobs were like playing hot girl number 3 in various television shows, why would she know how to fix every charity she sees, right? Like, everything she goes to, she can see the problem and fix it. It's just incredible ego. Like, wouldn't the people on the ground who've been running the charity for years have like a good idea of what they need and what works, rather than Meghan comes in and it's like, oh, you know, all this is junk, I'm gonna fix everything because I know everything. It's very, very arrogant, a very arrogant way to look at things.
Is when we go into our closet as a woman and you say, I'm going to make a donation, you don't go through your closet and just toss in a box whatever you don't care about anymore. That's charity as we know it today. Community is going through your closet and saying, this is the blazer that I wore when I nailed my first job interview and got my dream job. And I don't need that anymore because I'm where I want to be. But if I'm able to share that blazer and be part of another woman's success story, then that's community. And so when I thought about it in that
I don't know. I honestly don't know what that means. Seems like semantics to me. Charity, community. I mean, I guess if you have your 50,000 blazers, whatever.
Personal space, I said, on a bigger level, what can we do with brands and what companies would be able to help us.
All right, sounds like a charity that Meghan likes. It's all about fashion. Thanks for watching.